Hello everyone, this is Curtis Lavender. Welcome to Milestone Music. And first, I must apologize hugely. This next part was meant to come out a lot sooner. And hopefully now you'll be seeing the footage that I recorded for this part. It was done, I think, exactly a week after the initial upload. And I was using the new iOS 11 screen recording. I thought everything was going great. And then all of a sudden, I stop the recording, I listen to it back, and there's nothing to listen to. There was no audio on the video whatsoever, and this was a half-hour long video, so I don't know if it's something to do with the length of the video that cancels out the audio, because I did like a quick 1 minute test beforehand, and it worked fine. It did all the audio. So I'm really hugely sorry about that. I'm not gonna go and redo everything that I did, but I will show you the progress that I have made. So if we cut to the video now, this is what we've got. So if I remember correctly, we've got 4 new tracks here. So we added a little ARP line like I said I was going to do last time. There's the ARP line. I think nice and simple, really decent, just fits the job perfectly to fit in with everything. I mean, fitting that into the whole texture of the piece. It does really well to add a new sense of definition to the track, I think. Then we added another pad line, if I'm not mistaken. So let's take a quick listen. That's got a lovely little effect actually, where it zooms across from the right to the left. I didn't realize that before. But just a nice string pad. Again, fills the texture even more. So let's hear that in the mix with everything else. Again, really does a good job at filling that texture up even more. I'm aware there's some mixing issues here, but hopefully this is what this episode will be about. The arrangement of the tracks and a little bit of mixing here and there. I'm not sure if I've already said, I added a bit of a reverb send to some of the tracks as well. As you can see, the aux 1 sends here. They're all going to this convolution reverb, which is just on a default Abbey plate setting. It's really nice, actually. Just helps, again, fill out that texture even more, makes it really sound thick. And then finally, we have this last one here. It's, I believe, another lead line to just go over the top. So... yeah, that one really messes with the ears, I find. So I thought, again, that would be really nice just to have a little bit of ear play, I guess you could call it. So once more, with everything all together in the mix, this is what it sounds like. And there we have all the parts all together in the track. Now, I'm just gonna. Okay, I've already stated mixing is not quite there yet. The initial pad line is really loud in the mix, so I know I need to bring that down. But the main emphasis of this is about the arrangement of this track now, because of course everything's just chocked in right at the start. So we're gonna probably mess around with a bit of layering and gradually bringing things in order to do this. Now, what I'm probably gonna do is I'll copy all these things over to later on, and then I can just start putting them together piece by piece, so then I can still keep the reference point at the start and continue creating the evolved track further on. So I'm going to start getting on with that. So I think let's just start off with bass drum just in the beginning, really atmospheric. We could whack the reverb up as well to see how that sounds, possibly. Let's try that actually. I actually really like that. So I think what I'll do is I'll have this auxiliary send to the reverb up at the start, and then when everything starts coming in, I'll gradually bring it down as the texture gets more I'll gradually bring it more down as the texture gets more full with more layers. But anyways, moving on. Okay, so there we've got the bass line coming in to start off with. Then I think possibly we bring in that pad line because it's very, I don't know, it's got its like own little signature about it, which brings the whole piece together, I think. So having that in as a key element earlier on will really help bring that out. Okay, so now what we're looking at, we've got the bass drum intro, then we've got 2 times around the bass, but on the second time around, the snare drum now comes in, so it sounds a little like this, going from the first time the bass line. And then that's when that signature pad line's gonna come in. I think I'll carry on the beat underneath it and the bass line, but if I were to develop this into a further song, that kind of dropout would be very cool and climactic, I think, as a part of the overall development of the song. Anyways, carrying on, let's get that copy and pasted across, and then we'll keep adding layers, and then hopefully we can get some kind of finished product to show for our work here. Okay, so now we've got the whole thing pasted across the entirety, almost the entirety of this track. But what I'm thinking is this is actually going to be too short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the pad line about here, roughly, because that's when the filter like whacks on if we... So then from that moment on, it's all a normalized sound, so I can keep on looping just like from here to here, this 2-bar phrase, for as long as I need to. And then I can come in and use this tail end when it's going to the outro. So let's get on to that. Let's quickly split this up. Turn off multi-select before we make a really big mistake. And there we go, we've got our little 2-bar snippet, which should sound just around the chord progression, 3-chord progression. Okay, maybe not that one, because it kind of cuts out into a peculiar spot. But if we do the other 2-bar phrase here, that should all be uniform. So if we go from here, there we go. That sounds wonderful. So then what we can do is, now we've also got this tail end here. We've got that separated. So then we can drag this out however far we think we'll need it. Let's just say here for the meantime. And then what we'll do is we'll copy... Oh, whoopsie daisy. Then what we'll do is we'll copy across this. Just keep it going. I'm going to make the snap to bar just to make it easier for this pasting stuff. Shenanigans. There we go, all pasted. And then whenever we want to, we can just be like, actually, let's just cut this down, shove it over, put the end on. That's it. So if we take a listen, this should all sound glued together. Okay, so unfortunately it hasn't worked out like I planned. So maybe what I'll do is, at the moment, that's fine for the template, but what I'll do is I'll go over it again and re-record that whole part so it continues throughout the whole piece rather than having those odd jitters. But just for this development stage of the arrangement for this like 30-second excerpt, it'll do for now. So, moving on, let's add another part into it, and then eventually we'll get to that full texture, and then we can head out to an outro. Okay, so now we're looking at that. We're getting closer. I've added the ARP line and the other pad line onto it, the strings line. So if we take a listen, we'll go from the beginning just to have a quick overview. I may cut it down or not. Anyway, let's have a quick listen to this overview. It would help if I didn't solo tracks. Brillante. Okay, sounding pretty good. I think it's sounding pretty good so far. I'm not sure if there's a slight tempo desync here. No, that is all sounding good, I believe. So now I'm going to quickly copy and paste this over itself because it's like running out of space. 1 second. Just trying to think of the best position to put it back in. I think there's the best place. So if we paste over now. So let's listen. Again, there is that jitter, but again, we can always re-record all the parts over, and then that'll be fine. I feel like for the purposes of the video, I'm not going to necessarily do that just because of time constraints and the fact that this has been so delayed that I just want to get the finished product out there, and it still outlines the capabilities of Magellan, just not necessarily the capabilities of myself, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, you've come here to see the synth. So, as you can see, the synth is working brilliantly. So that should be about right, especially considering the end. Now the only thing we need to add in is this little lead line, which is weird and ear tricky. So let's have a gander. That actually sounds pretty good. I think I'm noticing a slight delay in the the main pad line, which is quite concerning. So I might quickly do over that, just because it's just not sounding right at the moment. So bear with me 1 second. It sounds like it's an 8th note out. So what I'm going to try and do is see if I can just move it that 8th note. Oh my god, this is harder than it looks. I think it's about there. So let's listen. That is spot on. Okay, so that is fixed now. We're just going to need to loop it every 8 beats. Every time we want to loop it, it's going to be an 1/8 of a beat out. So that's our only problem. But what we can do now is if we find 45.1, then we move that 1/8 up. Okay, then we split here. Then we find the 1/8 after 49.1. Where am I? There we are. Okay, so 49. There we go. We split here. Okay, so that's our full track now. So now we should be... Okay, and then we can move that out. Again, this is an 1/8. An 1/8 out. Which sucks. But again, that's my fault, not the synth. Don't judge the synth on my performance here. But again, we should be fine now. It's just we need to make sure we're considerate of that. Okay, there we go. That should be fixed now. So listening to the whole overall track. That's all really gluing really well together. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm really happy with that. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna add a bit of reverb on the snare. I'm gonna do the automation with the reverb that I said about with the bass drum at the start. Um, uh, and then I don't really think there's much else apart from just like levels in terms of volume that I need to do, and then that'll be the whole track. And then I'll play it out for you once, and then that'll be the video. Okay, so let's look at this bass drum part. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I can sync it to a bar now. I'm not dealing with the other thing. So what we're gonna do is we're going to hit the right button on the track there. We're gonna move this up, and then we're gonna keep hold of it, and we're gonna press play, and then we should write over the stuff. Unless I need to arm the track as. No, do not arm the track. That was some weird trippy stuff. Right then. Okay, that should be all we need to write it. So then if we play that back and unsolo it. I think that's a really nice smooth transition actually into that. You can't even tell about the reverb on the bass drum anymore, and as you can see from here, where it's read what I written down, it's turned it off completely now. I believe there's also a bit of a reverb on the snare. I'm not sure if I'm happy with that. Yeah, slightly lower on that to make it not so much emphasized, but it still lets it ring out to the next snare drum, so it doesn't just like pshk, pshk. It's ringing out to that next one. So I've done the automation, done reverb on the snare. I've done all the timing things. The only thing I need to check now is volumes and levels, and then I will get back to you with the whole track playthrough, and then we'll call it there. Okay, I think we have the finished product, and this is where I will leave you all. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Milestone Music. I've been Curtis Lavender. I hope you enjoy our 30-second trailer music.